Well, we have been on the campaign trail with Maxime Bernier in Portage-Lisgar, and what a time we have had. I've really loved it. We're getting to know the people here, and this is some of the finest people in all the land, salt of the earth, my dad would say. And Rick Wall, we have you here. You've been standing with Maxime Bernier, and we are hearing some things from the community. So what we thought is, let's just talk to you honestly. You all have questions about Maxime Bernier. There's a blatant lie going around about you being a WEF, some kind of, I don't know, an undercover agent. Or
and a kind of a pro-trans movement also.
Yeah. I mean, so one of the things that's come out, is Pierre Poilievre saying that you're all about the WEF.
Unlike Maxime Bernier, I've never been to the Davos conference that the World Economic Forum puts on, and he'll have to explain why he went there and what he was doing there.
What do you say to that?
As you know, Pierre Poilievre is saying that because in 2008, I was in Davos at the same time when they had their WEF meeting, the World Economic Forum meeting. And I was there because at that time I was a foreign affairs minister, and at that time we were in war in Afghanistan. I believe that you remember that, Laura-Lynn. And also at that time, our Canadian forces didn't have the right equipment to do that fight. And so Prime Minister Harper asked me, try to speak with your counterparts, other foreign affairs ministers.
Prime Minister Harper is the Prime Minister at that time.
At that time, 2008.
You're an MP.
Yeah. And a minister also.
And a minister, and he says you need to go and talk to all these people about Afghanistan and what's going on.
Yeah, but not the people at the meeting. He said, the foreign affairs ministers from other countries would be there at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I had a very great trip over there because I was 2 days. I didn't assist at that meeting. I had my own meetings. I had 31 meetings with foreign affairs ministers, and my goal was to fight for my country and to ask, and I did that, and I asked them some help for our Canadian forces in Kandahar, and I was very successful. After these 2 days, I said, okay, I did what I have to do, bye-bye. So I was not at the World Economic Forum. I did my own meetings there at the same time because it was the best time to have meetings with all these foreign affairs ministers from France, from UK, from all these countries across the world. So that's why Pierre is saying he was in Davos. So because he was in Davos, he's pro-World Economic Forum. No, the World Economic Forum is a socialist organization. They have a vision to have a world government. And we at the People's Party, we are promoting the sovereignty of our country. Yeah. We don't want a supranational government. We know what is good for Canadians, and we don't want to deal with them anymore.
And I have to say, haven't we all had an awakening about the UN Agenda 2030, the WEF, the WHO, the NIAID, Dr. Anthony Fauci, like all these things that we've come to know in the last 3 years that we didn't really know before.
Yeah.
You would have no more, reason to believe the WEF was, something we'd want to disassociate with at that time than anyone else.
But, that's why we created the People's Party. We're very different. The World Economic Forum is promoting central bank digital currency. We are the only national political party in Canada that is saying no to that. We don't need that. It will be another way to control our behavior. So, we have real policies that are promoting Canadian interest. And, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are very desperate. And that's why they're using, in 2008, when I was in Davos, and they tried to say, because he was in Davos, at the same time when they had their World Economic Forum meeting, Bernier... And if you look at Pierre Poilievre, who was in charge of his campaign for the leadership? A guy that is a member of the World Economic Forum.
John Baird.
John Baird.
Right.
So when they're doing that, it's because they're scared. Yeah. They don't have anything. They have to go back to 2008.
Right. So Rick, you've been on the campaign trail talking to a lot of different people. What are you hearing some questions about?
So first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to come on here. I'm local. I'm from Winkler. For most of you who will see this, I will know that. And some of the questions that have come up the last couple of days is some I guess, major concerns to others. To me, there's a simple answer to it. But there's a picture floating around with you, Max, parading in an LGBT parade. I'm not quite sure where it is, but it's a conservative banner in front of you, so it's not a PPC banner. I would like you to address it. I've put it out there and asked for anyone to send messages or requests to speak to you directly, or to gather some groups where you would come attend personally and ask the questions. So that we're definitely going to keep that option open. But if you want to maybe address that right now, just so that hopefully it helps answer that question for those that are concerned about that.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Rick, for that, because I believe it's very important. People must understand that was in 2016 or 2017 when I was a conservative, and the policy of the Conservative Party at that time was to support that movement, LGB alphabetic letters, and so I was there. But that movement and what they did today to our kids, a lot of gay people and lesbian people are saying, I'm not part of that anymore. And I'm not part of that anymore. You won't see me in a parade for the LGBT, blah, blah, because what they want to do is to destroy our family unit and telling kids that they may be a girl or he may be a boy. There's only two sexes. So the conservatives are using that. When I was a conservative, when it was a conservative policy, and that's why I quit the Conservative Party, because I said that party is morally and intellectually corrupt, and we created the PPC in 2018, and we are fighting. And if you read our platform, people will see that we are the only party that will protect the unborn, protect women, protect children. But Pierre Poilievre won't speak about that. The only thing that he can do is to post a photo of me in 2016 or 2017 in a parade. I believe it was in Toronto, when it was the policy of the Conservative Party, and I was part of that. So that movement is very different. And I changed. Yes, I changed. And I believe that a lot of people changed also. They cannot tolerate that anymore. And so I'm saying to people, stand up and speak for what you values, what are your values, and be out there, because we must end that trans toxic ideology.
That's so good. And were you there with other CPC
MPs? Yeah, I was with, I believe at that time, the leader of the Conservative Party of Ontario. There are a lot of conservatives were with me at that time, for sure.
Yeah. And I see that Pierre Poilievre on his Twitter, he's saying Happy Pride Month.
Yeah.
He's just all down with it. Do you think there should be a Pride Month? I mean,
no, absolutely no. Is there a month for our veterans?
Right.
Is there a month? Yeah, no. And Pierre Poilievre is pandering to them. That's what he's doing. He's pandering to special interest group, and he's afraid of the mainstream media because he doesn't want to speak the truth and be a real conservative, because maybe people in Ontario and Quebec will say, oh, you're anti-trans. No, for me, you can do what you want with your body at 18 years old, but don't push your sick ideology on children.
Amen.
And Poilievre won't do that. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying Poilievre is not a leader, is a follower. He will follow the public opinion of today. But we believe that the public opinion will change if we speak about what we believe openly with passion and conviction. The truth. That's the truth. There's only two sexes.
Yes.
I find it interesting that they're trying to attack you on something that they've pulled up from back in 2016 and 2017. They're using that as an attack, but yet they won't even have the conversation. They won't even have the debate. They won't say anything about it, but yet they're trying to hold that against you, which I find really interesting from a political standpoint. So I can really appreciate you clearing the air on that, and I hope that's going to help answer that question for a lot of people. And quite honestly, Poilievre was in Winkler. What a rare opportunity. We heard Candace Bergen state the fact that the leader of the Conservative Party never came to this riding before this election because it was quote unquote a safe riding for the Conservatives. But yeah, he came out here and he had the opportunity to address what I feel are the most important policies, which is gender ideology and the whole wokeness that goes with it, which ultimately is indoctrination to our children. Absolutely. They're destroying our children.
And mutilation.
Absolutely. And of course, the abortion conversation. In my opinion, and I think if you ask the majority of the people in this area would agree that those are a couple of our key issues. Yes, balancing budget and all of the typical political stuff is very important as well to run a good government. But still, we have some really important issues that we have to deal with first. And he had the opportunity to address those and chose not to.
What about abortion? What about the children that don't have a chance?
Look, I respect your point of view on it, but I'm not going to be bringing any laws on that. I'm going to let people are going to make their own decisions. You have the right to your opinion, and other people have the right to theirs. But I'm not going to be passing an abortion.
Okay, final question. This is going around a lot in the U.S. A lot of people aren't able to answer it, apparently. And can you, in 3 or 4 words, define what a woman is?
I mean, you have to ask that. You might want to get yourself a dictionary or.
I'm just curious to hear your definition
Listen,
in 2 or 3 words, 3 or 4 words.
I'm sorry, man. We just have a huge lineup still, so appreciate
Can you define a woman?
Not a man.
Not a man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
And you've been bold and consistent about that
Yeah.
for as long as I've known you, and I really respect your stance on it. That's what we need.
Thank you, Rick. And that's why I said in 2018, when we created the People's Party, I said the Conservative Party of Canada is intellectual and morally corrupt because they won't promote conservative ideas. And like that, they are giving credibility to the leftist narrative. They don't want to fight. We are living in a socialist era right now. And yes, if you fight for conservative values, you'll be part of the minority today. But tomorrow you won't. So we need to start that conversation. And Polyev said, you're right, when he was here, I want to reopen the debate. He said that here in Winkler last Friday.
Right.
I want to reopen the debate on abortion. I want table any legislation on abortion. We are killing unborn baby for the last, you said it, 35 years in our country, about 100 a year. Can we stop that and have that national discussion? I believe that if you believe in life, you must say yes. But no, with the conservative, it's not politically correct.
Right.
So they won't speak about that.
Right.
Right. And Pierre Poilievre, I think that in his writing, he would have, while he was a very young man, he would have said he was pro-life and would have, at the same time, you know, as Stephen Harper has said, he's pro-life. Andrew Scheer has said he's pro-life. Now we've got Brandon Leslie suddenly coming out. I'm pro-life. I'm really pro-life. You know, what does it matter if Pierre Poilievre says you cannot post and any legislation against abortion? What does it matter if you're pro-life? This is the party that will never do anything for any conservatives on the issues of pro-life or the gender nonsense we're dealing with. Like, they are refusing to deal with it, refusing to speak about it.
Yeah, and actually, also, you know, we were together. We did an event together, and you know, the lady who asked me, Maxime, are you religious? I said yes, I'm Catholic. And the second question was, I think that you voted when you were a conservative for legislation that were pro-choice, and I said yes. I said, yes, I did a mistake. And since the creation of the party, this is our platform. You tabled that bill in 2019 just to restrict a late-term abortion.
Yeah.
That's only the beginning. We need to start there because we believe that we can have a victory there.
Yes.
And after that, we'll have that discussion for, going further through near the conception.
Right.
So let's have that debate.
See,
And I want to thank you for that because you were our candidate
Mm-hmm.
at that time in 2019. And I had the national journalist asking me, what do you think about that? I said, she has the right of her own opinion. That's
Yeah.
great, blah, blah, blah.
You remember? So this is what Max had to put up with. Like when he tabled me or brought me forward as a candidate. So you were on Vashi show, CBC, right?
Yeah.
I'm eating dinner and all of a sudden my face is all over the nightly news. And they're like grilling Max, like, what? You have this bigot, you know, representing your party. She's one of your first, and she's against transgendering minors, and you know, she's all about the gender stuff, blah blah blah. And Maxime is like having to sit there on Vashi's show defending me on CBC, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm just eating my soup, like I can't, you know. That was the beginning. And at the beginning, like when you wanted to do a party that was going to help to fix Canada, we didn't know, first of all, the onslaught, the COVID nonsense we've been through, and then the, the gender stuff. It's all increased. And then I think
But you are the first one in
Yeah.
2018, 2019 to speak about
Yeah.
SOGI in BC.
Yes.
And that all started over there. And so you are right. And you're still right.
And when I remember our discussions that we've had, I've had the privilege and honor of just being able to discuss with you life issues. And your respect for life has always been there. As a Catholic, you're trained to honor life, what the Bible says about our bodies and the Lord creating us. And I guess
only two sexes.
and only two sexes. You're very clear on it.
Yeah.
And then I appreciate that you've grown in your understanding of how important it is for a nation to stand for that.
Maybe it's because of people like you.
Yes, yes, yeah. I think so, because a lot of the people that came to the PPC were very disgruntled from the Conservative, because year after year, I remember sitting there at the Conservative Policy Convention, right, in 2018, and I was there to vote on abortion and help create policy. And we have these little electronic gizmos in our hand. Yes, for voting for abortion to be on the policy. No, we don't want it on the Conservative policy. I was a Conservative my whole life. I'm there to stand for my convictions with a party that I thought represented my convictions. Andrew Scheer is the leader. He was pro-life, yay. He was standing tall, yay. You know, I'd already met him. I'd shaken his hand. I told him that I'm going to run in New Westminster, where I then was not allowed to run because I spoke out against the trans issue. So I wasn't allowed to run with the CPC. But now we're here to speak on abortion and let our vote be heard. I'll never forget it. 2,000 people in that room, 2,000 people there with a little gadget ready to make their voice known. What happens? Lisa Raitt gets up. No one was expecting this. She gets up and she wants to address. She gets us all to be quiet. She wants to address all of us. And she wants to ask us, please do not put abortion onto the CPC platform. And here's what she said, word for word, because our leader, Andrew Scheer, does not want it on the platform.
Our pro-life leader.
Our pro-life leader, who got voted into his riding because he's pro-life. He doesn't want it on the policy. Neither did Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper, with a majority government, does nothing. Like, this is, to me, this is, I've been used, I felt at that moment. Like, you're using my convictions to get my vote, and you will not do anything for them.
Very disturbing.
And what I'm saying to the people in the riding, just try me for 2 years. The next general election will be in 2025. If you don't like what I'm doing, if I'm not doing what I told you that I'm going to do, just vote me out in 2025. But I will, you know, I will fight. I will be in Ottawa, and we will open these debates about the trans, the abortion. Yes, and Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative will have to vote. And I believe that they cannot say no on the legislation on late-term abortion because it's a murder at that time.
I would just like to add a little bit, stating to the fact of what you were talking about, Laura, on that essentially you feel like that the Conservatives stole your votes based, you voted based on your convictions. I think that's an extremely important part to mention, and I would strongly encourage everyone to do so. I know there's a time and place for everything. Yes, maybe sometimes you can vote strategically when it comes to a certain race. I don't think that time is now. I mean, our struggles are way too deep, and all the global issues that we're having. I think you really need to make it a prayerful matter, and especially this time around too. You need to pray and you need to vote for somebody who stands for your values. I don't think you should you shouldn't cast your vote based on trying to get somebody out. I understand as much as anybody, we need Trudeau out of office. I don't know how many Canadians would disagree with that at this point. There's still some.
But this election is not about that.
Right, exactly. And here is our opportunity. If maybe you voted strategically in the past, I really think this is the time to vote. Truly vote with your vote from your convictions. Make it a prayerful matter, and pray for somebody who's going to stand for your values. And to me, being a godly man, I try to always follow by the convictions that I truly feel led from God, and that's where I am today. Have made massive sacrifices over the last couple of years, basically risking my entire business, and quite honestly, a lot of other things. We've seen other people face challenges from the government, when it came to the freedom fight. So basically what I'm saying is now is the time to vote with your convictions and pray about it, and vote for the candidate that's upholding your values. And again, if that's the Conservative Party, I encourage you should be voting for the Conservative Party. But the reason why I'm supporting Max is because he is the only one that's even talking about my values. It actually saddens me. I'm like you, Laura. Obviously, I've never been very politically involved, and I wasn't until later in my adult life. But I was always a Conservative. Since I started voting, always voted Conservative. It was a no-brainer. Yeah. But now that the Conservative Party no longer upholds my values, I can't in good conscience cast my vote for the Conservative Party. So for me, it's an easy vote for the PPC because, Max, I'm not saying Max is a perfect human being. I don't think anybody is, nor should anybody expect that. Everybody has their flaws. But I still think if you're going to cast a vote, you should vote for the one that most aligns with your values. And I strongly encourage everybody to do some deep soul searching and to really look at the two candidates in this riding that are on the ballot this time around. And like I said, vote with your convictions to vote something good in rather than trying to vote something bad out.
And I agree with that. You know, you have a unique opportunity, people living in this riding, Portage-Lisgar, to send a strong message to Ottawa. When I'm saying a strong message to Justin Trudeau, but also to Pierre Poilievre, to the Conservative. You must tell them, you know, I'm not happy. You're not fighting for the real convictions. And when I'll be in Ottawa, I will vote with Poilievre when Poilievre will be a real Conservative. And I will shame him when he won't.
Right.
So it's a win-win. Just give me that opportunity to do that. And after that, you'll be able to judge me in 2 years. And I believe that I will deliver.
Now, and tell me if I've got this right. Whenever people say split the vote, what they mean is the Conservatives are going to fight a more conservative party like the PPC, and they're going to be in battle, and they're going to take the votes, and someone will come up the middle, and you'll split the vote, and you'll get a Liberal in. And that is not even possible in this election or riding. The Liberals and the NDP, their combined
Votes.
percentage is basically 24%.
Yeah.
So you've got Brandon Leslie or Maxime Bernier that will be in.
And in this riding, Laura-Lynn, they never elected a Liberal since the creation of this riding.
Right.
And so the Liberal at the last election, they had about 10% of the vote.
Yeah.
And we, the PPC, came second with 22%.
Right.
So yes, it's between me and the fake Conservative candidate.
Well, and I don't even see Liberal signs up. Do you? I
No.
haven't seen any
Yeah,
Liberal.
I've seen the odd ones.
The odd one, do
they
you?
got a few up. I've seen a couple of green signs up as well. I don't even know if they have a candidate.
green?
They have a candidate.
They
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't aware.
One more thing too. So people, the CBC, they know you. Like, you are a very jarring political figure. They have been watching Maxime Bernier, and mainstream media is none too happy about this guy, calling out all the woke cult stuff that's going on, fighting it, calling it by its name, speaking to it. So when you start talking about books that shouldn't be seen, right? The CBC guy comes up to you, right? And he starts asking you, you know, Mr. Bernier, you talk about banning books, and, you know, how is this freedom?
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Oh my God! Yeah, that was just in the beginning of the campaign in Winnipeg. I just did a press conference over there, and the journalist said, "Bernier, okay, you're all for freedom. You fought for freedom during the Freedom Convoy, but what about, you know, banning books?" Let's talk about it. You know, what do you think about?
You have a copy on hand.
Absolutely, we are showing that to children. Children at school, that's not the place of a book like that. I can have a lot of examples. So it's a sexualization of our children. All that must stop. And actually, can you believe that? Here in this province, look at it. That's what they're showing to kids. You must be ashamed of that. And that's why I'm doing that fight against that, for the common sense. And I look at him and I said, all the books? He said, no, you know the books. Yeah, I know. This is the book. I have it with me.
You had it with
yeah,
you.
I had it with
great.
me. That was
That was
great.
great.
And you can see, you were able to see the journalists. They didn't want to look at it.
They don't want it on their camera.
I said, you didn't want to look at it, but you want your children to be able to look at it.
Yes.
And yes, I'm against that. That must be, and also that's against the criminal code.
Yes.
It's pornographic.
Yep.
Section 136, something like that. I don't remember the section,
No.
but it's against the criminal code.
Yeah.
So the RCMP must enforce the criminal code.
Yes.
But no, they're doing nothing. So yes, it's
They're
a big
doing
fight.
nothing.
It's a big fight. But Poilievre won't speak about these books. It's
No.
okay. It's okay.
No.
So that trans ideology is everywhere.
Yes.
In journalism, in class, school boards, politicians, you know, the far left and the woke were able to impose their ideology. So it's why when you said, you know, it's a cultural war, it is.
Yes.
It is a cultural war that we are fighting
We're
right
really
now.
there.
Yes. If I could address that just a little bit as well, coming from an angle of really fighting desexualized books in our libraries for the last 6 or 7 months or so now. I must say too, it's been a real struggle knowing the fact that it's so hard to get any politicians on board. You know, I'm not saying there's not. I mean, silently, yes, we're starting to get some support on this, and we're trying to get these books out. So it's encouraging for me just to see that there's a federal political leader. Yes, you're running in a local riding here, but you're the leader of the PPC party, and you're taking a stand against this. And just like it's been with the whole freedom movement the last couple of years, for anyone that knows me, will know how involved it was a team effort. I can't stress that enough, but we had the consistent conversations with our local elected officials, public servants, and you know, not once was anybody even willing to hear us. Like, we weren't looking for a complete turnaround, just at least hear our voice. Don't make us all sound like crazy people just because we have a different opinion and it doesn't fit the narrative. But Max spoke out from the beginning, and Max was consistent. And I know that's a little off topic from what I was just saying, but that's an important thing to state in this race as well. I'm encouraging people to think back just a few short years ago when we were fighting conservative premiers. Like, I'm going to state it exactly how I felt.
The guy who put me in jail.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Those are conservatives in most provinces in this country. Yes, it was. It came from the top down, from a radical liberal leader. But all of the conservative leaders throughout the entire country, most of the provinces, you know, just caved to the pressure. And you were the only political voice that I can recall that took a stand. And that was encouraging, I think, for this entire country, for people like me. It encouraged us to continue fighting. And of course, we know it ultimately led to the trucker convoy, and how we all remember how that got ended. But it created a massive movement in this country. And just from me to you, Max, a lot of credit of that is owed to you for taking that bold political stand when nobody else would.
But we did that together. You know, we did that, all the freedom fighters across the country. And I remember when I did the first rally in Montreal, 500 people, and the last rally, 40,000 people. So we were able to move the public opinion. We did that, and we had the freedom convoy. So yeah, we did that together. And you know, when you fight for your values, you will win.
Yes,
it's a question of time.
Truth always prevails.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty simple.
Well, in this riding, it's almost like a perfect storm. Like,
it
there's
really
been
is.
an amazing thing. You know, we had a prayer rally at the PPC office this morning, about 35 people, I guess. And
that's great.
We just worshiped and we prayed for Max. We prayed for this riding, that eyes would be open. And this is what I see, a perfect storm. Like, Candice Bergen gives up her seat in the riding that the PPC got the most votes in Canada.
Right.
What was going on there? Right.
Right.
So you're able to say, listen, these are the people that understand my values, and I'm going to go there. And you are not a, you know, people like to call you a parachute candidate. He's a paratrooper. He's here to fight.
And I'm here to stay also.
To stay.
If I win, I will be back here with my wife. If I don't win, it can happen. You know, it won't be the end. It will be the beginning. I will be here on a regular basis.
2 more years.
We're going to build. We're going to be ready. And in 2025, it will be my name on the ballot again.
Yes. Fantastic. And I do see a lot of love. We walked into McDonald's the other night, and these young guys just went crazy because you were there, and, you know, wanted to meet you and take a picture. And also, you know, when we're out and about, we're seeing a lot of support. I'm really shocked by that. Like, I never experienced that kind of support as a candidate. Although we had a lot of help in Burnaby South, you know, people did come to help from miles around, but just the name and the face recognition is here. And you're an honorable man. And I want to say, Maxime, I don't know where you got your character, but it is truly remarkable for a man to stand up in this day and age against the culture of wokeness and to speak with such clarity. And it couldn't come a moment, you know, too soon.
I believe that this election and what's happening in our country, it is not anymore between left and right. It is between good and evil.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And that's the fight that we are doing.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Rick, do you feel like you've said your piece?
Well, actually, I just wanted to add, because you said you were encouraged by the support you were getting because you were with Max and so forth. Well, I've been putting up a lot of signs. I'll give credit to my wife as well. She's not public at all. She's been my sidekick. The kids are with Grandma and Grandpa, have been for especially the last couple of days. And so we're out there pounding signs. And for those people that don't know how much it means, when you see, I don't care which political party you're pounding in signs for, those people are, you know, they're supporting something that they think can better their future or their children's future in this country. So give them a honk when you drive by. I know for us, you know, when you've been pounding in so many pegs and somebody gives you a honk, and we get a lot of that. That's why I wanted to share that. I actually need to ask somebody who's been putting up signs for the Conservative Party how many honks they get, just to have some fun. I actually have friends, honestly, that are supporting the Conservative Party, which is fine. But just to see, maybe we can compare honks, see how much support we're getting. And we're getting a lot of them, and so that's very encouraging. So that's just from that standpoint, we feel encouraged as well to be supporting this party, and we see a lot of people are as well.
I want to thank you, Rick and Laura-Lynn. Yeah, and for me, you're giving me more energy, and I'm meeting a lot of people in the riding. And you know, being a volunteer for a political party, you're giving your time, and time is everything. So I want to thank you for that. And yes, we are in a big war. Maybe we won't win the battle, or maybe we will. If we don't win that battle, we'll have another one. And you know, like you said, truth will prevail. And let's do what we have to do. So I want to thank you, everybody. So if you want to know more, and can they go at the votemaxbernier.ca, and you'll be able to see our platform and everything there.
Right, your platform is all there. It's fantastic that you can actually see the PPC platform, where many people have let us know they can't find the other platform for the other party. It's not there. But thank you very much. We wanted to address some of the issues that we knew were coming up for Rick and for myself out there, and for you, Maxime. We are blessed to be here. We're fighting hard. It is no longer about politics. It's about a cultural war. It's good against evil. You have an amazing opportunity in this riding in particular. Just bring in Max, give him a couple of years, see what he'll do. I don't think you'll be disappointed, and I don't think our country will ever be the same. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. God bless.
Mr. Speaker, I'm asking for unanimous consent to adopt the following motion: that notwithstanding any standing order or usual practices of the House, Bill C-4, an act to amend the Criminal Code, conversion therapy, be deemed to have been read a second time and referred to a committee of the whole, deemed considered in committee of the whole, deemed reported without amendment, deemed concurred in at the report stage, and deemed read a third time and passed.
This being a hybrid sitting of the House, for the sake of clarity, I will only ask those who are opposed to the request to express their disagreement. Accordingly, all those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay. Agreed. The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. There being no dissenting voice, I declare the motion carried.
You know, it's not easy to deliver the truth of what our sick world is doing, but for some of us, we feel that we have no choice. Because if we are silent about these abominable things, then we are letting evil go unchecked, and we cannot do that. For those of you wonderful people who are writing me and are sharing your encouragement, I am deeply grateful. Thank you for all the letters that you've been sending. Thank you for the donations and the support. I found out that in order to speak the truth, you have to become very, very strong. If you would go to my website at www.lauralynn.tv, you'll find all of the ways that you can contact me. Remember, my friends, all is well. All is well. Thanks for joining me.